All right, Doug Karns Program, 267-495-4866 or dougkarnsprogram@gmail.com. All righty, where were we here? So, October 2011 is this movement that the left and the Democrats are actually planning. Now, the Tea Partiers get blamed for being anarchists all the time, that they want to end government and have no government whatsoever. This is completely false. All the Tea Party wants is a smaller federal government and more power given back to the states and to the local communities. That's all the Tea Party wants. We don't want anarchy. We don't want, men ruling over men. We just wanted to get back to the values of the Constitution. But in comparison, I don't know if you ever heard of RAN, which is it's RAAN, and that stands for the Red and Anarchist Action Network. Now, these guys have been hijacking the union movement for a while now. There's a long history dating back to 2002 when, let me just read it right here, RAN as a concept is formed through an internet community bringing together anarchists and communists of almost all self-definitions in a massive discussion on how to best organize resistance to capitalism and other structures of oppression. First of all, how is capitalism oppression? In capitalism, you have the freedom to do whatever you want. You can go start your own business. You can go work for a business. You can do nothing. That's the beauty about capitalism. Now, communism, you don't have a choice. You got to do what they say you got to do. So, it's funny how they just use these terms to get what they want. It finishes off here. The idea of an action network was originally inspired by the proposed creation of a red and anarchist news network over the web. So this was back on May 25th, 2002 when this idea started. So since then, they've been pretty much using violence and been protesting with unions to try to push through anarchy and communism. And the funny thing is, anarchy and communism are far away from each other on the spectrums, but they team up together because they want to destroy capitalism first, and then they'll fight over which way they want to go, anarchy or communism. So this is where we're at with unions. And on a side note, real quick, before we move on to revolutionaries with the October 2011, I was just reading this article the other day that because of unions, Chrysler and Fiat, since Fiat now owns Chrysler, is going to be making their cheaper Chrysler 300s in Mexico because it's too costly because of unions. And they're going to move, since the Jeep line, the Cherokee, is a very valuable line, they're moving some of their Maserati manufacturing to the Chrysler factories in America because unions are so costly and Maseratis cost so much that they can actually absorb the cost of unions. So here's a prime example of how unions are destroying business. Now, listen, I'm not trying to outlaw, you know me, I'm not trying to outlaw unions, but you guys really need to start pulling back a little bit and giving back to the businesses because you're going to be selling a lot more Chrysler 300s than you are Maseratis in this country and in the world, in that fact. So look at all the jobs that you're losing from making these Chrysler 300s. It's getting moved to Mexico. It's a lot cheaper to sell them there. So because you have cheaper competition between Toyota, Nissan, and all that. Wake up, unions. You guys really need to start changing your policies. So anyways, back to RAN and this whole October 2011 thing. Let me play this quick little promo video. It starts out with a big communist fist, as you would see in Russia or China or anything. It's the same exact fist that you'd see that communists use. And it says, "Stop the machine, create a new world, october2011.org." Let me just play this video and we'll come back and talk about it.
I'm David Swanson, and I'm going to Washington, D.C. yet again. I know I've been before, But this is not a march. This is not a rally. This is not where we go and recruit 5 more people and make home movies and get ignored by the Washington Post and pat ourselves on the back. This is different. This is where we try to actually shut things down, which sounds radical or impolite or dangerous, but what have we been about when we come and we march and we rally and we say, absolutely reverse the direction you're headed. We're going in a disastrous course. We have to change things. Isn't that impolite? Isn't that attempting theatrically to interfere? We are going to actually interfere. We're going to actually block buildings and shut them down. We're going to take inspiration from our brothers and sisters in Egypt and other countries that we cheer for when we watch them on the news, but we don't do it. We don't do it. This is our chance to actually be those people ourselves and do it. This is going to be way more fun, way more effective, way more satisfying, and something you want to talk about for years and decades to come, to say, you were there. I was there. Where were you in that historic moment? I was there. I was part of it from day one. That's going to be you and me.
All right, there was an awkward... It's a promo video, almost like a commercial, like with a white background that you would see like in an Apple commercial or some charity commercial. And there's an awkward. He just sits there and stares at the camera for about 4 seconds. It's you got to see the video. Just search David Swanson "Why I Will Be There" on YouTube. It's kind of funny. And really, he's looking for a good time with this government shutdown. Let's have some fun, and you'll enjoy it, But so. Here's the difference between these guys and the Tea Party. The Tea Party is a voice. We just want to be heard. We don't want to disrupt anything. We just want our politicians to listen to us and at least vote in our favor and start changing this country around. But this October 2011 movement is all about bullying. They seriously want to go shut down the federal government as best they can. And it's a bully tactic. Who here likes a bully? So here's the Tea Party with their voice, just want to be heard. Everywhere they go to rallies or events, they just want to be heard. They don't bully anybody. They're just saying, hey, let's have a debate and listen to my side here. But then you got October 2011 says, fine, if you're not going to do what we want, then we're going to shut you guys down. And David was interviewed by some, therealnews.com, some lame site. But he was interviewed and kind of goes more into depth here, and I want you to listen to this.
That challenges current public policy. Now, there are many attempts in the works, but one of them is planning an event, or more than an event. They're planning to occupy a square called Freedom Square in Washington, D.C. in October. And now joining us to discuss this is one of the organizers, David Swanson. David is with, I guess today you're October11th.org, but you're also with, tell us your other various websites.
Yeah, October2011.org, and I work for rootsaction.org, and I blog at warisacrime.org, and many others.
So, David, tell us what's planned for October.
Well, we're planning to model our behavior on the actions that happened earlier this year in Tahrir Square, Cairo, Egypt, in Tunisia. All
right, so before I carry on, he wants to mirror what happened in Cairo. If anybody understands, Cairo wasn't a peaceful protest. It was a very violent, tons of arrests, tons of civil unrest. Rapes, or I don't know if you remember that CBS reporter being raped as they were yelling Jew, Jew, Jew. Now, granted, I don't think they're going to be yelling Jew, Jew, Jew and raping people in this thing. But the guy wants civil unrest. This is what he wants. He wants to shut down the government and create civil unrest. And he wants to do it just like Cairo. So what does that say to you?
The actions you see in Spain and Greece and countries around the world when governments get even a fraction as bad as ours has gotten. And so we're going to go to Freedom Plaza in Washington, D.C., whose name is quite similar to Tahrir Square, translated. And we're going to occupy it beginning October 6th, and we're going to remain, and we're going to non-violently interfere and shut down the offices of our government until we begin to get some movement. You know, the actions in Egypt are very much an ongoing struggle, and they're very much trying to get back that momentum they had in Tahrir Square. But they have some momentum, and that came from that activity. So we're going to be there until we begin to take back control of our government.
What are some of the specific demands?
Well, if you go to October2011.org, you'll see a list of demands at the top, at least of general themes, and there will be more specific demands made, including getting out of Afghanistan. We're, of course, timing this for the end of the first decade of the war in Afghanistan, as well as for the beginning of next year's austerity budget coming out of Washington. But the general themes are the same that everybody comes up with, that the majority opinion in this country is demanding and that our government won't answer to. The same demands that other more partisan and less principled movements are making, and that is to tax the rich, to end the wars and cut the military, to protect Social Security and give us Medicare for all, to protect workers' rights, to organize and to strike in solidarity, to protect our environment, to build our environment, to create infrastructure and green energy. It's the same agenda that everybody has. What's different is the tactics we mean to employ.
And so what exactly do you mean by stop the business of government?
Well, I mean shutting down buildings and offices and hallways and streets non-violently, strictly non-violently. We have a non-violence pledge. People are going to October 2011 and pledging to be there and to be non-violent. We have training sessions, but we intend not just to rally or speechify or protest or engage in theatrical operations or to misdirect all of the anger and the frustration at one political party or the other, but to actually take the demands of the people as a whole to the government as a whole and stop business as usual.
So you're talking about...
All right, so this is not how it's supposed to work. Our founders created a republic for a reason. We vote representatives in, and our states vote senators in, and they represent us. And that's how we get things done. Not by shutting down or threatening to shut down the government. I mean, this should be almost treason right here, because you're the left. This guy he's worked with many Democrats, like Hillary Clinton and all of them, and he is almost committing treason by saying he wants to shut down the federal government. Now, to go back to the Tea Party thing, what Tea Partier have you heard say that? We've never muttered that word once, because we know we need a federal government. Our founders knew that. So, again, it goes back to the Tea Party is a voice. We want to be heard. The October 2011 movement, they're trying to be bullies. If you're not going to do what we want, then we'll push you. We will shut down your offices. We will sit there until you give into our demands. That is not how a democratic republic works. And these guys sure know it. They want to help create civil unrest like in Cairo or in Greece and cause riots like that. So you decide. Which side are you on? All right, we'll be right back after this.